Hi and welcome to Ryvis Rambles, where I talk about whatever the fuck I want. And in this video, I want to talk about the animation movie NIMONA. The movie plays in a medieval cyberpunkish setting, which I love by the way, and is mainly about misunderstandings and how these misunderstandings can lead to so much harm. But it's also about so much more, which I'll get into in my opinion section. If you want to skip the plot summary, you can jump to it right away. Just be aware that it will contain spoilers. The movie starts with the legend of a hero called Glorith, who fought a dangerous beast to protect the kingdom. We're then introduced to Balster, who is the first commoner to be knighted outside of the noble bloodline. With this move, Queen Valoran wants to usher in a new era in which everyone can become a hero. However, during the knighting ceremony, Queen Valoran is killed by Balster's sword, no less. It's very obvious to us viewers that he's innocent, but to the characters in the movie, he seems to be a murderer. Chaos ensues and Balster escapes, trying to stay undercover. While he's working on a prosthetic arm, because his was cut off by his boyfriend Ambrosius when it looked like Balster killed the queen, NIMONA barges in. She wants to become a sidekick because she thinks he's a villain hated by everyone, just like her. At that point, we don't know why she would be hated, but we're about to find out soon. NIMONA wants to help Balster take revenge, but instead of choosing violence, he wants to talk things over and explain how all of this is just a big misunderstanding. But of course he's arrested on sight, just as NIMONA predicted. NIMONA then helps him escape and we learn that she's a shapeshifter, aka a monster. Everyone's scared of her, which hurts her a lot because she's never harmed anyone. She's just different and people are scared of different. I think that's one of the main reasons why this movie resonates with me so much, because I've been in NIMONA's shoes. And believe it or not, but I'm not a shapeshifter. Anyways, much to NIMONA's disappointment, Balster is shocked as well at that revelation. But unlike others, he seems to be the first person to ask her if shapeshifting hurts, which is a nice change, I'm sure, that someone shows concern for her instead of just fear.
The shape-shifting, I mean, does it hurt or does it... Sorry, small-minded question. Hold still.
At this point, they've pretty much figured out that Balster has been framed and start an investigation. Their first point of reference is the squire Diego, because he gave Balster his sword. They, or Balster, just wants to harmlessly interrogate him, but things escalate and they end up kidnapping him. Diego then reveals that it was the director who framed him because she disagreed with the queen, which comes as a blow to Balster, who trusted the director wholeheartedly. Balster wants to clear up the misunderstanding with Ambrosius, who isn't just his boyfriend, but also a fellow knight and a direct descendant of Glorith. Glorith, the legendary hero, established the Institute for Elite Knights around 1,000 years ago after protecting the kingdom from the huge black beast. This is the institute that also trained Balster and Ambrosius to become knights. When Balster wants to show Ambrosius proof of the director setting him up, the director stops him. Convinced that Ambrosius is disappointed in him, Balster finally agrees to NIMONA's plan for revenge. NIMONA shapeshifts into Ambrosius and tricks the director into confessing. However, the director claims NIMONA shapeshifted into her, which invalidates the confession.
I know it looks like me and sounds like me, but it is not me. That was the monster, working with the real queen killer, Balster.
Ambrosius, on the other hand, is convinced that Balster's innocent, but he's also confused because all the evidence proves he's guilty. So, to make sense of it all, he starts to believe that NIMONA is deliberately dragging Balster down. Balster knows about NIMONA's struggle and defends her, but also learns that she is the monster that attacked the kingdom all those years ago. Shocked by this revelation, Balster confronts NIMONA about this. She feels betrayed, especially after he reflexively draws his sword on her, and she runs away. We learn about her backstory, which triggers her to turn into that huge black beast. She invades the city and everyone is scared of her, even though she's not attacking anyone. She walks straight to the statue of Glorith and wants to kill herself, finally putting an end to her suffering. But Balster stops her and apologizes. The director still wants to kill her, ready to sacrifice half of the kingdom, but NIMONA blocks the weapon of mass destruction by sacrificing herself and the director. After her sacrifice, the kingdom starts to honor her memory, finally seeing her as the true hero she was all along, instead of just a monster they don't understand. Balster and Ambrosius get their happily ever after, and so do we, cause psych, she's back! NIMONA is a fun, heartwarming, tragic, but overall wholesome movie. The movie plays in a world that's a mix of medieval fantasy with cyberpunky elements in which knights are treated as idols. Already a huge plus point for this interesting setting. Another thing I wanted to point out was the comedy. The way the jokes are cut is just perfect.
Murder her! Murder everyone! Bal? Ambrosius.
Gesundheit.
That's why I'm taking this to Ambrosius.
Who
Ambrosius.
cares?
But my favorite was this one.
Cold in here?
Obviously. Even the off comments are thought through and fun. Unfortunately, I can't really show examples because they're only fun in context. Now, the movie is all fun games for the most part, but it also covers serious topics such as rejection and shame, trust and distrust, and the fear of change. First of all, I have to say the murder caught me completely off guard, but in a positive way. I like the premise of a villain who looks like a villain in his character design, but isn't actually a villain. I just didn't expect to see death right off the bat in what I thought was a children's movie. Balassa's knighthood was supposed to herald a new era, which was destroyed by the director because she was afraid of change. Not only did she kill the queen and destroy the life of an innocent man, but she was literally willing to sacrifice half of the kingdom to prevent progress. Conservatives, huh? Funnily enough, Balassa does herald a new era the moment he prevents NIMONA from taking her life, leaving an impression on the kids of the kingdom to not kill indiscriminately just because something or someone is different. He's a caring person, which shows multiple times. First, he wants to resolve the misunderstanding by talking, not using violence. He's not after revenge, he just wants to set the record straight. Then, when he shows concern for NIMONA, not only wondering if changing her body hurts, but also stopping her from committing suicide, even if it was at the last second. It's honestly such an emotional scene, and it shows that sometimes it only takes one person, one good deed to save a life. And lastly, while it's important to him what other people think of him, he's mainly scared of disappointing one person, the love of his life, Ambrosius, who I also want to talk about, but only because of two reasons. First of all, I love his last name, Golden Loin. It made me giggle, not gonna lie. That's how mature I am. And secondly, because he's such a put-together person, but completely loses it in his mind over Balassa.
Oh, and on top of that, I chopped off his arm! His arm! Who chops off an arm? Because I was trained to? Arm chopping is not unlike what? I'm fine, Director.
He loves Balassa so much that he instantly recognizes the Balassa in the train station as fake because
He hates freestyle jazz.
that one also cracked me up. Anyways, I obviously can't talk about NIMONA without talking about NIMONA. But just like the movie, I took my sweet time because the title character appears almost 10 minutes into the movie for the first time, and I love that. She's a feisty, mischievous, strong girl who wants to become a villain's sidekick. Gotta love her chaotic energy. God knows I do. NIMONA has been rejected all her life for being different, even though she's never hurt anyone. She's grown into a bitter teen looking for someone, just a single person who can relate. And she thinks she's found him in Bannister.
He's vile.
He's got no place in this kingdom.
He's a murderer.
He's a monster.
He's perfect.
However, the movie is a good representation of what we sometimes expect of life and what really happens, or never meet your heroes. NIMONA thought Balassa was this cliche villain, but he turned out to be quite the opposite, much to her disappointment. They've both been rejected by society for different reasons, no one giving them a chance to explain themselves. And NIMONA creates an allegory when she says villains like you or monsters like me.
What's it all really for?
For protecting the realm.
Oh, you mean from villains like you? Or monsters? Like me?
With that comparison, she implies that she's not a monster, because everyone sees Balassa as a villain and he vehemently insists he's not. And the same is true for NIMONA. Everyone thinks she's a monster, but she's not. She's just NIMONA. Which is also her response whenever Balassa asks her what she is.
What are you?
I'm NIMONA.
I'm just trying to understand what I'm working with here.
I'm NIMONA.
Or when he asks her to just be her, NIMONA's response is,
I don't follow.
Girl. You.
But I'm not a girl. I'm a shark.
because every version is her, no matter what she shapeshifts into. Changing her body doesn't change her mind or her personality. I also love how she explains the urge to shapeshift with a feeling a non-shapeshifter would understand.
You know, like that second right before you sneeze? That's close to it.
And lastly, when Ballister suggests that it's easier to be a human, Nimona rightfully poses the counter question.
Easier for who?
Because she doesn't feel uncomfortable. The people around her are uncomfortable with her being anything but a human. So her adapting to the others would make them comfortable, but not her. So when Ballister asks, what if you hold it in? I interpreted it as a metaphor for holding back your true nature. Because what Nimona describes is something that I believe anyone who has trouble conforming to what society considers normal can relate to.
What if you held it in? If you didn't shapeshift?
I'd die.
Good Lord, that's horrible.
Don't be so gullible. I wouldn't die. I just sure wouldn't be living.
The people in the kingdom are taught how to kill from a young age, yet Nimona, who has never harmed anyone, is called a monster. She's basically hated just because she's different. Even in her past, it was a kid that accepted her, all of her, until the grown-ups attacked Nimona claiming she's a monster. She's been ostracized all her life because she's a shapeshifter, and I have nothing but respect for her that despite her circumstances, she still turned into a confident person.
How did you get like this?
What, you mean awesome?
But Nimona doesn't want to be a villain. She doesn't want to be feared. And if more people would actually get to know her, like Ballister, she could be normalized. At some point, Ballister isn't surprised anymore when she changes her shape because it's just something she does. It's her normal. She just wants to be accepted for who she is. But when even Ballister turns on her, she realizes it's pointless and wants to put an end to herself. It just takes one person to accept her and apologize for her to have hope again. Due to that one person's kindness, she's willing to sacrifice herself for the safety of the kingdom. So despite Ballister stopping her from committing suicide, she still dies at the end. Except Nimona doesn't really die. Her final form is a phoenix-like creature, and I love that contrast. Her final form is a phoenix-like creature, and I love that contrast to her black beast form because it kind of mirrors hope versus depression. And of course, the phoenix also symbolizes rebirth. I love the ending, by the way, because it reminds me of the drama The Untamed, which pretty much has the same ending. One of the biggest themes in this movie, besides being yourself and accepting the different, is trust and distrust. Most of the pain in this movie is caused by characters trusting others. The Queen trusted in Ballister, and she trusted in change, which resulted in her death. Even if Ballister was set up, in the end it was the Queen's trust that killed her. Ballister trusted the director, who in the end turned out to be the one who set him up because she is afraid of change. And he trusted Nimona without fully understanding who or what she is, only to find out that she's the beast that supposedly attacked the kingdom all these years ago. Which leads him to believe that Nimona wanted to turn him into a true villain, so she's not alone anymore. Then we have Nimona, who trusted Glorith because she was the first one to show her kindness but then turned on her. And then something similar happens with Ballister. On the other hand, we also have Glorith, who trusted Nimona despite her ability to shapeshift, which is unusual to be fair. And while Nimona only acted in self-defense later on, Glorith believes the adults around her claiming that Nimona is a monster. And then we have the trust between Ballister and Burgess, which isn't easily shaken, but is temporarily broken nonetheless, each believing the other is on the wrong side. Luckily though, most of the trust is restored. Not only the trust between Ballister and Ambrosius, but also between Ballister and Nimona when he prevents her from committing suicide and drops his sword. As a sign of not only him trusting her, but that she can trust him as well. And I think that's beautiful. Oh, and of course the entire kingdom trusting in Nimona after her martyrdom, you know, self-sacrificing, dubbing her a hero. Overall, the storytelling of Nimona is insanely good and rewarding. The moral of the story is that some things just are what they are, and that's okay, as long as no one's getting hurt. Of course, we should always question things to learn, but it doesn't always have to be in a negative way. It's fine to be cautious, but sometimes we can just be curious. In the end, you're always free to ask questions, but no one owes you an explanation for how they look, for example. Sometimes it doesn't hurt to think before you speak. So how about you? Have you seen the movie? If so, what was your favorite scene? Let me know in the comments below. If listening to random people talking about random stuff on the internet appeals to you, leave a like and subscribe. And if you have any topics you'd like to hear me ramble about, leave your suggestions in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!
Metal.